So basically your debt to income is your total debt divided by your total income. So in this example, let's say your monthly debts include these 5 expenses, and the total of these 5 expenses is $2,000. Step 2 is to take a look at your income sources. So let's say in this example, your income sources are these 3 sources, which total $6,500. So your debt to income is simply your debt, $2,600, divided by your income, $6,500, which gives you a debt to income ratio of 30.77%, which means that 30.77% of your gross monthly income goes toward debt payments. Very simple. But why is this important? So let's look at how a mortgage lender looks at debt to income. For the most part, mortgage lenders look at both the front end ratio and the back end ratio. The front end ratio ideally should be less than 28%, but acceptable up to 31%, depending on the loan program. And the back end ratio ideally should be less than 36%, but acceptable for up to 43% for most conventional loans. Now let's talk about what front end and back end ratios mean. Your front end ratio is basically your monthly mortgage payments, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And it's often that's often abbreviated as PITI. You may have heard of that. But why does this front end ratio matter? It matters because lenders want to ensure that your housing costs are manageable and not too high compared to your income. So they want to see your front end ratio. Your back end ratio is your total debt ratio. Lenders use this ratio to make sure that you can handle your overall debt load and still cover other living expenses. So your back end ratio are your car loans, your student loans, credit card payments, personal loans, and any other debt. Now, what's important to also remember and understand is that the creditor gets this information directly off of your credit report. So again, I talked about your credit report in the past. Know what's on it, because that is where they're going to get all of your debts to come up with this total debt to income ratio. So if you need to pay something off, pay it off before you walk into the bank or apply for any type of credit, so that you know that your credit ratio or your debt to income ratio is within the acceptable range. Okay, business loans and credit cards, ideally the debt to income ratio should be less than 36%. Does this mean that you can't get a credit card? Not necessarily, but you will probably be paying a very high interest rate. So again, you want to try to get your debt to income ratio less than 36%. So after watching this video, you should be very comfortable in calculating your debt to income and knowing what that ratio is. That gives you the power when you walk into an establishment to really have a conversation where you know where you stand. Stay tuned for more insights and send me a comment if you like this video.